There have been many cartoons depicting everyone's favorite web-slinger over the years. Each iteration brings something new to the table, but none are quite as beloved as the spectacular Spider-Man. While it was prematurely cut short after 2 seasons, it has developed a large cult following, with many people demanding that it be brought back. It's still remembered fondly to this day because its stories were well written. Its characters felt believable, which may be why many feel that it's the best Spider-Man show ever. But today we'll be discussing the characters, from Spider-Man and his friends to the most deranged and evil criminals he fights. We will sort out the best and worst this show has to offer. I'm Kifinosi with Wicked Binge, and this is the Spectacular Spider-Man. Good to evil. Kicking off the good section of the video, we feel that it's only fitting to give the gold medal of goodness to Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. Peter is a kind and caring friend. He stands for goodness and strives to be a better person, which perfectly complements his role as Spider-Man. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He has to deal with his aunt's inability to make ends meet, his ailing social life, and being a superhero.
What's he, is he?
All of these while keeping everyone he cares about in the dark about his identity. Now, he can be clueless romantically. He has trouble choosing between Liz and Gwen, much to the annoyance of both. He tries to have a healthy relationship with his friend Harry, whose father makes it clear that he prefers Peter instead. As Spider-Man, he is constantly dealing with evil criminals and supervillains who want to kill him. He usually handles all of this well. The only time he ever wavered was when he was under the symbiote's influence, which we won't count against him. He really is a true hero and deserves the gold medal of goodness. The silver medal of goodness goes to Gwen Stacy, Peter's friend and love interest. Gwen is quiet and friendly with a good head on her shoulders. She had deep feelings for her friend Peter. While Peter feels the same, he's romantically inept and has little to no idea how she feels. Gwen is Peter's equal intellectually, having the same grades as him and even being selected to work in the same lab. While she may be shy and geeky, she has no problem telling off Peter and Harry when they fool around, giving them her famous look, which can unnerve most people. Gwen and Peter eventually went on to date others while they still had feelings for each other. However, she became less assertive when it came to dating Harry. She wouldn't break up with him after his father's death to spare his feelings, even though she liked Peter. She's an amazing friend and has all of Peter's admirable traits despite not being a superhero. It makes sense why she receives the silver medal of goodness. Now we have to talk about Gwen's father, Captain George Stacy, who gets the bronze medal of goodness. As captain of the NYPD, he is naturally an honorable man. He is slow to judge, acts quickly to save others, and is respectful to Spider-Man, despite other cops not taking his presence too well. He passed his good morals on to his daughter Gwen, whom he loves dearly. He has been an unknowing mentor towards Peter, who takes lessons from the captain into account when he's Spider-Man. What drops him to the bronze medal is that he was willing to work with Dr. Octopus to steal information that would give him access to the world power grid. However, that was only because Dr. Octopus had his daughter, so we won't blame him for obeying. It has also been hinted throughout the series' run that he knows that Peter is Spider-Man, but he would never leak that information if he does know. Overall, he is an upstanding member of society and the worthy recipient of the Bronze Medal of Goodness. Just outside the top 3 most good is Peter's Aunt May. She is a sweet lady who sees the good in almost everything. She loves Peter dearly. She and her late husband Uncle Ben taught him from a young age to be a good person, which helped shape Peter's moral backbone. She cannot make ends meet and desperately tries to hide financial woes from Peter just so he won't worry. We also have to give her points for introducing him to Mary Jane, who becomes a close friend to him. She also tries to push Peter into enjoying himself, fearing how much he worries about her. But she does a fair share of worrying about him, as she sets up curfews for him and checks in with him near constantly, which can border on being annoying.
Aunt May, you're awake.
However, she is truly a good aunt and a great support system for Peter. Another one of Peter's friends, Mary Jane Watson, is next.
I saved the last dance for you, Tiger.
She chooses to remain a social free agent and not date anyone, being an independent person above all else. She uses said independence to help other people, such as Peter, Gwen, and Harry. Mary Jane usually helps Peter navigate through his lackluster social life and help him make friends, even warding away people who dislike him. This is seen when she fires back witty retorts at Flash when he tries to make fun of Peter. She also warns Peter that Eddie Brock is out to get him. Like Gwen, she also keeps Peter on the straight and narrow. In that regard, she tries to open his eyes about Gwen liking him. On top of that, she never loses faith in others. In fact, she dated Liz's brother Mark when he had a severe gambling addiction and ended up becoming the villain known as the Molten Man. She always tried to help him. With everything she does for others, Peter has a valuable friend in Mary Jane. Next, we'll give a quick mention to the top field journalist of the Daily Bugle, Frederick Foswell. Foswell doesn't play a big role, but he is one of the few Bugle staff who actually likes Spider-Man. He helps Peter become a better photographer and helps him break stories in the world of undercover crime. He even moonlights as a criminal informant named Patch, just to get information to publish so it can lead to criminals getting arrested. He even played a part in getting the crime boss Silvermane thrown in prison.
Beat it, small fry.
He uses his role as a journalist to fight for the truth and stop crime. He's a hero in his own right. A different Peter love interest is next, Liz Allen. Liz is one of the school cheerleaders and Flash Thompson's ex-girlfriend. She's had significant character growth throughout the series and improves as a person. She started out as the stereotypical shallow cheerleader, but she became gentler and more sensitive after befriending Peter.
Thought you said this stuff was boring.
Eventually, she became Peter's girlfriend, much to Flash's chagrin. While she did become better, we have to dock her a few goodness points due to her dislike of Gwen, who she feels will steal Peter away. Not to mention her angry reaction to Peter breaking up with her. Regardless, she changed for the better, and these are just minor gripes. She's a peppy and upbeat person who only wants everyone, especially Peter, to be happy. We have to mention another Daily Bugle employee, Robbie Robertson. As J. Jonah Jameson's right-hand man, Robbie is usually there to reel in his grouchy boss and help the other employees.
There's photos of Spider-Man in action.
He views Spider-Man as a true hero and believes in capturing the more admirable aspects of him, only for Jameson to shoot him down. Overall, he's kind to everyone else on the staff and is willing to give Peter some journalism pointers. He's a pleasant guy and treats Peter as a journalistic equal when Jameson will not, and that says a lot about him. Yet another Daily Bugle employee deserves mention, Betty Brandt. She's the Daily Bugle's receptionist. Like Robbie, she keeps Jameson from going off the deep end. She showed genuine compassion to Peter and was upfront about her being too old for him when he asked her out. However, she still cares about Peter and enjoys his company. She's not a huge character, but her kindness and straightforward personality earn her a spot in the good section. Let's mention Dr. Martha Connors next. As Kurt Connors' wife, she partakes in the same experiments as her husband and is the voice of reason between the two. She's welcoming to Peter and Gwen when they first start working for them, and she was happy to be their mentor. However, she is relatively no-nonsense. She was quick to fire Peter when he reported the lizard story, even though he left Dr. Connors out of it.
But I can't trust you.
But she welcomed him back at Norman Osborn's request, so at least there weren't too many hard feelings. One of Midtown High's football stars gets the next spot, Hobie Brown. Hobie doesn't talk. By that we mean there's a running joke of him always getting cut off before he gets to say anything. From what we know, we can tell that he's a nice guy and doesn't partake in the usual Peter torment that the rest of the team does.
Don't worry, Brown, you're in.
Also, he was able to step up and lead Midtown High's play when Harry couldn't make it, so we get some goodness points for that. While Hobie isn't an important character, there isn't a bad bone in his body. Flash's main love interest is next, Shashan. Shashan is a collected and school-oriented student who becomes the object of Flash's affection. However, she initially wasn't even interested.
Really, Flash, there's no point.
She is friendly with other people and has no negative words for anyone, even people who bother her. She rejected Flash constantly and only dated him when he started to grow as a person. She even helped him become nicer and career-driven, making her responsible for his redemption arc and worthy of a spot on the good section. Another Midtown High football player and student is next, Rand Robertson.
School.
He is a decent person, and he is one of the more likable football team members. He was the only one who gave Peter and Harry a fair chance when they tried out, and he was willing to accept them into their friend group, much to the dismay of Flash. He's easygoing and takes everything in stride. There isn't much that phases him, from people flirting with his girlfriend Sally to Flash telling him off for being friendly to Peter. He just says, it's cool and lets it go. Flash could honestly learn a lot from him. While talking about Midtown High students, we'll throw in Glory Grant here.
I'm serious.
She's Kenny's girlfriend and is also nice to others outside of their circle. She's quick to admonish Kenny for acting like a jerk, and she briefly breaks up with him after she's had enough of his boorish ways. And then she decided to date Harry. The only negative we can say about her is that she dumped Harry at the fall formal when Kenny returned and tried to change, which isn't the best thing to do. but she's okay if we ignore that. The last entry for the good tier has to go to Dr. Kurt Connors.
It's an honor to meet you, Dr. Connors.
He is a sensible guy and an approachable boss, being open to new interns working in the lab and trying to show he cares about those in his employ. However, he is desperate to regrow his lost arm, making him take drastic measures by using an untested formula on himself to regrow his arm. And it works, for a time. He eventually becomes the vicious lizard and causes havoc, but Spider-Man was able to save him. However, he and his wife fired Peter because he set up cameras to capture the fight to sell photos. Connors was able to get back on track and stood up to his new partner, Miles Warren, citing his lack of ethics. He may have had a big lizard-related mishap, but his heart is in the right place. We've wrapped up the good tier and we're on to the characters who fall somewhere in the neutral territory. This is the gray area. Starting the gray area is Peter's best friend, Harry Osborn.
Hey, Pete!
To put it nicely, Harry is a mess. He's a social outcast alongside Peter. However, whereas Peter has Aunt May to help him, Harry doesn't have that support system. His father views him as a disappointment. Harry's father, Norman, makes it clear that he favors Peter over Harry. On top of that, he even framed Harry for being the Green Goblin. Harry then started taking a substance called Green, which is an experimental drug that enhances strength and mind power. He used this to become a football star and be an A student, all because he wanted to impress his father. Harry is an overall good kid. He plays off all of his issues and just wants to be liked and make friends. Still, he did use his father's apparent death to keep Gwen in a relationship with him, which is all kinds of wrong. Still, given everything he has gone through, we can't blame him too much. Let's talk about Flash Thompson. He's Midtown High's starting quarterback and resident jerk. He usually torments Peter by throwing water balloons at him, stealing his lunch, and taunting him mercilessly. Sometimes he even targets Harry and Gwen. He's extremely arrogant and believes that he can treat people however he wants just because he's popular. While these may seem like the traits of someone who should be lower on this list, he tries to change. It started when Peter was becoming hostile towards everyone when he was under the symbiote's influence. Flash called him out on it, then Liz dumped him and started going out with Peter. Eventually, Flash began to like Shashan, which made him change as he didn't want to look like a bully anymore. He has a long way to go, but he has grown a lot as a person. Now we have to cover Kenny Kong next. Kenny is Flash's partner in crime, and it's easy to see why. They both like picking on people weaker than them, specifically Peter, and they love playing football. What puts Kenny lower is that he is ruder and more boorish than Flash, and less self-aware, often embarrassing himself and his friends. Luckily, he has made an effort to be better, apologizing for his behavior.
But Glory...
He has his girlfriend Glory to keep him in line, which is a plus. Overall, he isn't bad per se, but he is a follower. We'll also give a quick mention to Ned Lee, a journalist from the Daily Bugle.
You were one of the first individuals rescued by the Spider-Man.
He's obsessed with exposing Spider-Man and wants the world to know who's behind the mask. When Venom leaked his secret identity, Lee became overeager in his expose article about Peter Parker. He interviews his friends and family and pressures them into saying yes. He also interrogates Peter for the truth. We don't know why Ned behaves this way, he just really wants to show who's under the mask and he will do anything to find out. Up next is the final person in Flash's clique, Rand's girlfriend, Sally Averill. Sally is a stereotypical, shallow, popular girl. She views unpopular people as being beneath her. She warned Liz about the dangers of crossing social lines when Liz started going out with Peter. Oh boy, she's abrasive, short-tempered, and snobby, and she has a special disdain for Peter and his friends.
Who invited the Geek Squad?
She isn't in the evil tier because she has a nice side, like when she showed concern for Peter's Aunt May's health, but she's also had an emotional breakdown when she thought Peter was blown up. She has a soft side, but you have to do some digging to find it. Finally ending the gray area is Colonel John Jameson. He was an upstanding Air Force colonel, but tragedy struck when he was infected with alien spores while in outer space. This caused his density and muscle mass to fluctuate violently. His father, J. Jonah Jameson, prodded him into becoming a superhero named Colonel Jupiter and bring down Spider-Man.
I get to wear the fancy suit.
Colonel Jupiter became unhinged due to his father's anti-Spider-Man rhetoric. The alien spores also altered his brain, causing him to have severe bouts of rage targeting Spider-Man, who was able to reverse the side effects. When the Colonel lost his powers, he became a mentally unstable asylum patient, all because his father pushed him into it. With that, we have to ask, What kind of superhero show good to evil would this be without including the villains? We're going to cover all the evildoers that Spidey has to face next. These are the bad and the evil. The evil section begins with the cat burglar, Walter Hardy, the man who shot Uncle Ben. Walter Hardy was a famous cat burglar who could infiltrate the most heavily fortified areas and steal from them.
I made a horrible mistake.
There was no job quite impossible for him, but he had to carry a weapon as he got older and slower, vowing to never hurt anyone until he accidentally shot Uncle Ben. It's a mistake that haunted him for the rest of his life. We don't put him lower because when his daughter, the Black Cat, tried to break him out, he refused to escape and stayed behind, saying that he deserved his punishment. Walter even helped Spider-Man and Black Cat escape from the villains who had broken out while staying behind to apprehend them. We had to cover him sooner or later, so the editor-in-chief of the Daily Bugle is next, J. Jonah Jameson. Oh boy, where to start with this guy? Let's start off with the fact that he is a horrible boss.
What do you know about selling papers? You're a kid!
He screams at his employees, belittles them, and treats them like drones. He has a penchant for slander and yellow journalism. As he puts it, the Bugle only prints facts, and whatever it takes to connect the facts together. Not exactly showing journalistic integrity. Also, he has a profound, misguided hatred for Spider-Man. It is never explained why, but he takes every opportunity to smear and slander the webhead. All of this would have been forgivable. However, what puts him in the evil category is that he prodded his son John into becoming Colonel Jupiter and going after Spider-Man. This caused his son to give in to the spore's alteration of his brain. After his son was defeated, the blame for what happened to his son's mental state falls solely on Jameson. He's simply a hateful and loudmouthed man who pushes his views on others and can't see past his own notions of the world. Up next is one of the show's more well-known villains, Sandman. Sandman started off as Flint Marko, a small-time crook obsessed with robbing banks and jewelry stores, among other places, to obtain his big score. After undergoing an experiment that turned Marko into Sandman, he went on a robbing spree that saw him face-to-face with Spider-Man numerous times. He eventually joined Dr. Octopus's Sinister Six to seek revenge on the Wallcrawler. While this may all sound terrible, the reason we can't rank him lower is that he isn't loyal to any villain in particular. He's just in it for his big score and doesn't want to hurt anyone.
I've had bad experiences with cats.
He even sabotaged an operation that would have had Tombstone's men siphon oil from a tanker, helping Spider-Man put a stop to it and save the crew. He leaves the New York crime scene with the intent of bettering himself and turning away from crime altogether. Black Cat takes the next spot. She follows in her father's footsteps of being a cat burglar. She uses her stealth abilities to infiltrate secure areas and steal their valuables. She also tries to seduce Spider-Man to get him to join her as her partner in crime. She has no real morals and is in love with how corrupt she is.
I want it.
She doesn't even try to change despite Spider-Man and even her father telling her that she has the potential to be more. She tried to break her father, Walter, out of prison. Despite hearing her father's wishes to stay and help her escape instead, she blames Spider-Man for her father's choice not to go. She's not really malevolent, but she's far from a good person. Liz's brother, Mark Allen, the Molten Man, is next. Mark is a teenager with a severe gambling issue, and even did time in juvenile detention for it. Still, once he got out, he fell back to his old ways, knowing full well that it hurt everyone around him. He had serious debt already while he was in custody. He was forced by the Green Goblin and Blackie Gaxton into taking a serum that would give him a natural metal armor that could heat itself to molten temperatures. He was told to kill Spider-Man to be fixed, which he gladly obliged to, wanting to return to normal.
Eliminate Spider-Man.
Molten Man showed no mercy while fighting, and would harm others if it meant going back to normal. While he was defeated, he harbored a deep hatred for Spider-Man, swearing revenge for being sent back into custody. Next is Silvermane's daughter, Silver Sable. She is a cunning and ruthless assassin for her father's crime family. She does whatever her father orders, such as stealing blueprints to make Rhino armor or doing away with Silvermane's enemies, including Spider-Man. It is later revealed that she used to date Hammerhead. They eventually broke up because her father fired him, and she chose loyalty to Silvermane over Hammerhead.
Daddy was so right to fire you.
Long story short, she's more of a weapon to her father than a daughter. She will do whatever is asked of her to keep her father's operations going smoothly. Next, we'll throw in Chameleon. Chameleon is an international spy for hire and a dangerous master of disguise. He has no true loyalty to anyone and only cares about his next big assignment. He has done his own work before, such as framing Spider-Man for stealing the symbiote and impersonating him to commit crimes. He's also impersonated Norman Osborn to keep Spider-Man guessing about the Green Goblin's identity. This shows that Chameleon has no moral compass and will work for anyone. Luckily, Spider-Man always finds a way to foil him. This next spot is split between 3 people, the Enforcers, named Shocker, Ricochet, and Ox. They are mercenaries for hire, and they specialize in doing the most difficult tasks that others would say are too dangerous or risky. Their leader, Shocker, is the most well-known member. He joined the Sinister Six and has done solo jobs that mostly involved stopping Spider-Man. Ricochet is the stealth of the group, being almost like Spider-Man in his agility and hand-to-hand combat. He wears a suit that can absorb and disperse kinetic energy, allowing him to literally bounce off the walls. Ox is the group's muscle. As the strong and silent type, he is intimidating. Being stronger than most people, he can easily break Spider-Man's webs. These 3 are dangerous, but they are routinely stopped by Spider-Man.
We're just getting started, Spidey.
Next up, Professor Miles Warren. Professor Warren is the brother of Peter's science teacher and a really corrupt person. He is close to Norman Osborn and can use Osborn's influence to get what he wants. He even forced Dr. Connors to let Peter back as an intern after they had alleged trust issues.
We had trust issues with Peter.
The biggest concern first came when Professor Warren tricked Craven into thinking that he had created Spider-Man. He coerced Craven into giving up a large sum of money to be transformed into a lion-like monster. Worst of all, Warren took over Dr. Connor's lab by threatening to expose him as the Lizard, forcing him to move to Florida. He's a shady guy, and sadly we never get to see his defeat as the series ended early. Now we have to throw in Blackie Gaxton. Gaxton is a bookie who runs the Big Sky Billiards Room, a place that the city's shadiest people can hang out in, free of the law. To put it simply, Gaxton is a lowlife who takes advantage of clients who come to him for bets. He even lured Mark Allen back to a gambling addiction after he had gotten clean. He even knows all the sketchy activity in the city. He knows every crime boss and what they control, all while profiting off of it by keeping their secrets. Gaxton is horrible, and unfortunately he can weasel his way out of any situation just by sharing his knowledge in exchange for freedom. What an awful man.
Trust me, kid, it's a lock.
We'll briefly talk about Tinkerer next. Tinkerer is a technological genius who has all the greatest gadgets and weapons for the city's worst people, such as Chameleon, Mysterio, the Enforcers, and Dr. Octopus. He is very loyal to his clients, often giving free equipment should they give him more power. This is seen when Dr. Octopus tried to take over all of the world's technology, and Tinkerer would provide him with machinery in exchange for working with the new Sinister Six.
Gentlemen, allow me to introduce our host and benefactor.
However, he is cowardly and useless in a fight, and often gives information should he be threatened. Kraven the Hunter is up next. Kraven was a hunter on safaris where he was known to take down the most vicious of animals. However, he was tempted by Dr. Octopus to hunt Spider-Man, who is considered a dangerous and elusive game. However, Spider-Man humiliated him and got away, much to Kraven's anger. He paid Miles Warren to give him a serum that would transform him into the ultimate predator. This lion-like monstrosity had the senses and strength of all the jungle cats. Kraven even worked with Dr. Octopus's new Sinister Six to take down Spider-Man, being hell-bent on hunting and defeating him once and for all. Kraven is naturally wild and bestial, but his eagerness to hunt Spidey, who is human, puts him this low. On top of that, Kraven is also known to sick his pet lion on those who displease him. He's ruthless and will do anything necessary to complete his hunt. He will not rest until he has finally killed Spider-Man. Kraven is a villain, no questions about it.
Do not patronize me, Calypso.
Next, we reach another famous villain, the Master of Illusion, Mysterio. Mysterio is an expert in trickery and special effects, making him elusive and hard to arrest, as well as a dangerous member of Chameleon's gang. However, what sets him apart is that he is more of a large-scale threat than Chameleon. He has no problem with causing harm to anyone to make his illusions seem real. Eventually, he ended up working for Dr. Octopus, stealing technology to help him control the world's power grids. Mysterio is a very dangerous adversary. He has many robots designed to look just like him, making him difficult to pin down. He's arrogant and a little crazy. His desire to be known amongst the criminal underworld means he will pull off some drastic heists and other projects.
And let anyone take credit for the role of Mysterio?
This makes him unpredictable and a worthy adversary for Spidey. Sandman's partner in crime, Rhino, takes the next spot. Before he became a supervillain, Alex O'Hearn was a petty crook alongside his friend Flint Marko, who would become the Sandman. When Tombstone bailed them out of prison, O'Hearn underwent an experiment that would transform him into the unstoppable Rhino. It was fitting, as he loved to cause destruction with his newfound power, and made a point of trashing everywhere he went just because he could. He's naturally violent and tried to find and threaten Peter to lead him to Spider-Man.
Bring me Peter Parker!
He even tried to impale Spider-Man with his horn while the web-slinger was unconscious. What sets him apart from his friend Sandman is that Rhino makes no attempt to better himself and genuinely seems to enjoy causing harm to others. Thankfully for Spider-Man, Rhino isn't that bright and is easily tricked, making him slightly manageable to defeat. As we descend into the truly evil, we reach Tombstone's second-in-command, Hammerhead. Hammerhead serves as an enforcer for Tombstone, often doing his dirty work, such as shady business dealings, extortion, and worse. He tasks Norman Osborn to create supervillains to keep Spider-Man busy while he helps run Tombstone's criminal empire. On top of that, he isn't someone you want angry at you, as he enjoys fighting and breaking other people with his steel-plated head. What makes him more than a mere lackey is his willingness to betray his boss by manipulating events during a fight between rival crime bosses. He leaves his boss during the fight in hopes that he would take over Tombstone's empire should his boss be defeated. Make no mistake, Hammerhead isn't a mere stooge. He's only out for himself.
Well, wouldn't you like to know?
One of NYC's oldest and most powerful crime bosses takes the next spot, Silvermane. Silvermane's criminal empire ruled the streets of New York for decades, until a young Frederick Foswell's articles on him got Silvermane arrested. When he got out, he started going to war with Tombstone and Dr. Octopus to get his territory back. He used underhanded means to steal valuable information to make new weapons for his empire. Worse yet, he dragged his daughter into the crime family, making her his own personal weapon. Silvermane has little to no empathy for anyone. His harsh ways have even manifested in his daughter. He basically corrupts everything around him, and it seems that no prison can hold him for long.
Silvio Manfredi has arrived.
The first villain the show introduced, the Vulture, is next.
Good news. I don't blame you anymore.
Vulture was always mean-spirited and bitter. After his inventions were stolen by Norman Osborn and he was promptly fired, he went on to become a supervillain to extort Osborn and even try to kill him. Since then, he has sided with Dr. Octopus and the Sinister Six to get revenge on Spider-Man for putting him away. This has led to Vulture becoming even worse, from terrorizing the New York FBI headquarters to helping Dr. Octopus establish a criminal empire. Vulture also enjoys terrorizing bystanders during fights, often capturing people just to drop them, or swooping low to assault them. All of this just to keep Spider-Man busy during fights so he can get away. The fifth most evil character from Spectacular Spider-Man is Electro. Ironically, he started out as a sympathetic character, after a freak accident left him as a human electricity generator.
I can't take it anymore!
He threatened Kurt Connors for a cure and was promptly defeated by Spider-Man. While he originally wanted a cure, he grew to love his role as a villain, joining the Sinister Six and becoming more and more unstable with every appearance. In fact, calling him by his original name, Max, sends him flying into an uncontrollable rage and he destroys everything in sight. Electro has a deep hatred for Spider-Man, becoming irrationally violent whenever he sees him. Even worse, he's known to take his frustrations out on civilians whenever he can't find Spider-Man, by sending lightning bolts into crowds. He may have started out just wanting his life back, but he became one of the most evil characters on the show. Landing just outside the top 3 most evil is New York's biggest crime boss, L. Thompson Lincoln, aka the Big Man, aka Tombstone. He was born with a rare case of albinism that made his skin tougher and more durable, as well as granting him extra strength. While he looks scary, he hides his evil side under a persona of philanthropy and goodwill. However, in reality, he heads the largest criminal empire in New York. He has most of New York's crooks under his thumb. He owns one of the largest businesses in Manhattan as a front, and also employs people like Norman Osborn to create supervillains for him, just to keep Spider-Man busy, so that the webhead won't be able to investigate him. Almost everything that goes on in New York's criminal underbelly, Tombstone either ordered or knows about. Most of all, he isn't afraid to get his hands dirty and fight people himself. However, Spider-Man was able to finally defeat him and turn him into the cops. While he was released on bail, the NYPD deconstructed his criminal empire and had him under a close watch. This rendered the Big Man unable to return to being a crime boss, now just a citizen, with a colorful criminal record.
Meet L. Thompson Lincoln.
Taking home the Bronze Medal of Evil is Norman Osborn, or the Green Goblin. As Norman Osborn, he's a hard-nosed industrialist who never apologizes and constantly belittles his own son, Harry. As the Green Goblin, he is insane and wants to control the criminal underworld. Only one thing motivates him: greed, as shown when he eagerly accepts a large sum of money to create supervillains for Tombstone.
I never do.
He steals Adrian Toomes' ideas for a zero-gravity flight suit to profit off of them, and became the Green Goblin just to take control of Tombstone's empire. Though easily his worst deed was framing his son Harry as the Goblin, just to throw suspicion off of himself. Norman is a horrible man and an even worse father. In the series' final episode, Spider-Man sabotaged his glider and he fell into a vat of pumpkin bombs. Then Green Goblin was blown up? Or was he? Well, since the series ended prematurely, we'll never know for sure. The Silver Medal of Evil goes to Eddie Brock and his alter ego, Venom. Brock and Peter started out the series as close friends. However, a series of mishaps and trust issues led to Eddie developing a bitter hatred for Peter and Spider-Man. When Spidey freed himself of the symbiote's influence, it bonded with Eddie and revealed Peter's identity. With newfound powers and calling himself Venom, he swore his revenge. Venom is twisted and vengeful. His only purpose in life is to kill Peter/Spidey, and his favorite method is targeting people close to Peter, such as Aunt May or Gwen. After he was defeated for the first time, he decided to barge into the Daily Bugle and leak Spider-Man's secret identity to J. Jonah Jameson. The Bugle, of course, published it, and Peter couldn't go anywhere without being hounded by the media. But Spider-Man was able to defeat Venom by forcing a gene cleanser down his throat, which made Eddie incompatible with the symbiote, leaving him powerless.
Peter Parker is Spider-Man!
Subsequently, the Bugle printed a retraction and Peter was cleared. Finally, we reach the Gold Medal of Evil, and it goes to Dr. Octopus. A freak accident left him insane and with 4 mechanical arms fused to his back. Dr. Otto Octavius then ditched his meek and insecure personality to become the evil Dr. Octopus. First, he goes on a rampage across the city and tries to steal from one of his old employers. When he chases Spider-Man to an amusement park, he decides to kidnap Liz just to take advantage of Spider-Man's weakness that he can't stand to see anyone hurt. This would become a running theme, as almost every time they fight, Octopus drags innocent people into it just to hurt them, simply because, well, he can. He also created the Sinister Six to wreak havoc on the city and get even with Spider-Man. Still, that's nothing compared to his worst action. He created his own crime syndicate under the alias Master Planner and kidnapped Gwen to make her father give him access to the FBI database so he could control the world power grid. By controlling the world's power, he could control the world by purposely making all technology stop functioning and go haywire. He was actually able to control New York's power for a time. He just made everything devolve into chaos, and that's what sets him apart from the other villains. Green Goblin is motivated by money and power, Venom is motivated by revenge, but Dr. Octopus just wants to watch the world burn.
Farewell, Spider-Man.
Finally, let's wrap this up and award some deadly sin medals. The Darwin medal goes to Rhino. Rhino is incredibly stupid and is easily outsmarted by Spidey, making him easier to defeat. The Pride medal goes to Flash Thompson, as he has a large ego and believes that just because he plays football, he's better than everyone else. The Sloth medal goes to Ned Lee. He is usually seen slacking off instead of writing stories for the Bugle, and always has to be yelled at to get back to work. The Wrath medal goes to J. Jonah Jameson. Jameson is always screaming at or threatening his employees, and he has a deep hatred for Spider-Man, for some reason. The Gluttony medal goes to Kenny Kong, who is never not eating, and he loves seeing how many chips he can fit in his mouth. The Envy medal goes to Harry Osborn, since he desperately wants his father's approval and hates that Peter gets it instead. The Greed medal goes to Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, since he only cares about his status and power. He just wants to make himself richer. Finally, the Lust medal goes to Black Cat, seeing as she's always flirting with Spider-Man and uses her advances in attempts to make him join her. But what do you think? Which characters from Spectacular Spider-Man are the most heroic? Which are the most evil? And tell us what we should cover next. Remember to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of characters in your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.